Hello, everyone. I don't know how many people are watching right now. I guess I'll give people time to file in. So here's what we're going to do. Thank you so much for this time. And thank you, MLR, for the Cash App also. So we're just going to give people a little time to get in here. So we're going to play a little music for y'all.
Hello everyone, this is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
Okay. So now that I've given people a chance to come in, we've gotten ready for the show. Everybody kicked the show off wonderfully. Thank you so much, Miss Nikole, for your contribution as well. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Miss Roxy. Hey, Delisa, Ebo Sosa, AB Media, everyone, NC Worker. All right. So today we have a special show. And the reason why it's special, number one, is because I got my sister up here, Miss Nikole. And it's always a pleasure to chop it up with her and talk with her. Thank you, Malika. And the other reason why today's show is special is because I don't think that there's ever been one done in this section of YouTube ever. And basically, what's going on today is that we're just going to have a nice discussion about how it is to be red pill women, both in our personal lives, offline, and online in this YouTube space. And I really wanted to have this kind of conversation because I think that too long have women like us, not gynocrats, not hyenas, not buying into these different types of tropes and the blue pill, rhetoric and talking points and all of these things. Too long have we been really quiet. We've been very quiet. We kind of operate in the background. I think we're more comfortable that way. But I think one of the cons of being that way is that the women who don't have our community's best interests in mind or heart have been given the floor. They've been given the spotlight and they have run amok with it. They've misrepresented Black women and women as a whole. And those of us who don't subscribe to any of that nonsense, we don't subscribe to, any of that, we kind of have been pushed to the back burner and silenced and pushed to the back and sort of overlooked, in a sort of the squeaky wheel gets the oil type of situation. And I think that having this conversation today, and hopefully more conversations like it going forward with even more ladies, will help open up the floor for us, for the women who are red pill, the women who aren't a part of the gynocracy, whether you were a part of it before and you're not now, or you never were, or what have you, whatever the case may be. It's time for us to be seen and be noticed and take a stand and be the support that our sisters need, that our brothers need, that our communities need, instead of always playing the background so far in the back that no one knows that you're there. So I guess that's enough for me running my mouth and trying to introduce, what we're trying to do here. So how you doing today, Miss Nikole? Welcome. And I'm so glad that you decided to come chop it up with me today.
I'm doing all right. I'm trying to I'm finishing this bread pudding and I got some I have some asada steak and chicken and I'm just the kids just left with Jason. I was like, thank God. I was just like, they pulling on my shirt like, hey, hey, hey. So, but it's they'll be back soon, maybe a couple hours and but I'm just chilling, loving life. How about you?
Today I got up and I was like decorating my room. I'm trying to get my bedroom together because I kind of just, when I moved here, I just moved my stuff in and, I put it away, but it was like, whatever, and I didn't really pay attention to the decor and all of that, even though oddly enough, I really, really like decor. Like I love home decor. Like if I go shopping, I don't like going shopping for clothes and shoes. But if you want me to spend a bunch of money, take me to a store where I can do home decor. I spend a bunch of money. But let me do this because I need to back up because I got a lot of super chats. So I just want to acknowledge them real quick. Malika, thank you so much. Ebo Sosa, thank you as well. Risa Rose, I'd like to thank you, sweetheart, for your contribution. And also Aqua Techie and Miss Delisa for your cash apps. Thank you so, so, so much. Yeah, so that's what I was doing. I was calling myself. It turned out pretty good because I had like some wallpaper or whatever that I put up in my
I was
bedroom.
feeling
It was
Bishop
looking,
and
it
said,
looked
you
kind
know,
of
my
cute.
heart.
It looked kind of
Plumagates,
cute. I was like,
Michaels, Ross. Yeah.
mm,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah. Like having the nest looking presentable, and
yeah, right.
I just it has to be presentable and it has to change with the seasons and everything. And yeah, I feel you on that, definitely.
I even got some lanterns that hold
Oh.
pillar candles,
Hmm.
and I need to figure out where I want to hang them because I got four of them. So two of them I want to hang, and the other two look real cute sitting on like my little table, my little storage table that I got. Thank you, Mr. Edward Hyde. Said thank you, sisters, for being on the side of the best of Black thinking men, and you are so very welcome. We are honored actually because we're definitely going to get into this topic and all of the things that we want to say to each other and really to you guys as well. But yeah, going back to my decor, the two lanterns look really cute on the table. And then I'm gonna hang two, but I gotta figure out where I'm gonna hang them. So that's a whole different situation because once I put those hooks up there, it's kind of no turning back. And it's gonna be like, okay, if I don't put them up there right, I'm gonna be mad. So I gotta take my time with it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So here's what we want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and just jump right into it because I think this topic will be really, really encouraging for the ladies, which is this is really who this is for. Because I said a long time ago that I would be the voice for the sisters that didn't think that they had a voice, or were maybe too shy or too reserved to have a voice. And when I say have a voice, I don't necessarily just mean be public like YouTube. Like you and I, we're content creators. So our voices are heard. Our opinions and thoughts are out there for anybody to consume, So that's us. But not all of our sisters are prone to or inclined to do that as we do it. Um, but I do want to acknowledge the contributions of these sisters, the support of these sisters. Katz has been a long time supporter. So is Delisa. Also been a long time supporter. I don't think she's in here now, but Brenda Bronze Dipped, Risa, I can see Fit Feminine 40, a big supporter of this space and of what we do in the space. So just in order to go ahead and jump into it, I wanted to explore some questions and see if we could get a dialogue going to kind of help ourselves and help our sisters out. And I think the first, probably, and the most important question that I want to open with is how do you personally deal with being a red pill woman online and offline with your interactions between both men and women? Did you want to tackle that first, Nikole?
Yeah, sure. Once again, thank you for having me on here, Kendra. I appreciate it.
No.
Much respect to you, everyone in the chat as well. So the first question, yeah, as a like basically how I tackle that, when I first came to this space, I really didn't know much about like that there were black people who who were understanding the concepts as much as you all are with red pill, blue pill, even black pill and things like that. And I always have to give credit to my Sensei Bay, the Bitter Truth Show, because he's the one that really motivated me and said, you should check out this guy, Black Gnostic Speaks. And from then, the ball went rolling, and I met all you wonderful people, you know. So I really am thankful for him. But he had to see something about what I was saying. He had to see something about my content that, perhaps made him tell me that, you know. And so a lot of the responses I get online are somewhat similar to the responses you see in the chat, like when we go from chat to chat and stream to stream. And a lot of them are similar to, it's funny because some guys will email me and they're like, they may only watch my content. They like, have you heard of BGS? I'm like, uh, yes, And so it's maybe I'm bridging the gap for some people in that way, or vice versa. He's bridging the gap for other people. So the way that I deal with that, like with men, I think outside of this, outside, in real life, not here in cyberspace, men a lot of times just look at me differently, and I think that's similar online as well. But in face to face interactions, they deal with me differently. A lot of them say I'm a little different, and sometimes they say that's like a breath of fresh air. That's refreshing. When we didn't have masks on 24/7, just saying hello, saying good morning, having a smile. For a lot of black men, here in LA, and even when I lived in Atlanta, that was like, wow, she said hello, just say good
Mm.
morning. But that was how I was raised, you know. Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Good morning, good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir? How's your day going? That type of stuff. Just common decency and respect. But that's not a standard to be upheld in the gynocracy. That's not a standard that's expected of black women. So when I'm dealing with black women on the other side of it, unfortunately I have to say, I say it with hesitation, but it's the truth that a lot of the most of the nasty, negative emails, the negative comments that I get, sometimes, Jason sees these things. It's hurtful. You know, I don't get too much usually from the men if it's something like a question. It's more of on a logical basis. The women a lot of times say things just just to hurt, just to hurt me,
Mm.
or just to throw a dagger. And I'm like, okay. So the way I deal with that, one, I can block you. Uh, in real life, the way I deal with that, there's so many women, you don't understand. There's so many women I have to cut off, especially
Mm.
like today,
Oh, wow.
this week, because of everything going on. I'm like, I can't put myself in that situation. I have a future to think about, but I'll leave it at that. Those are the basic ways I deal with it.
Yeah. Um, let me stop and acknowledge Gold Professor and Cats for your cash apps. Thank you so, so much. So, I want to go ahead and I'm give my accounting for that, dealing with being a red pill woman offline rather than and online between the men and the women. Offline, it's been a lonely road, is what I can say. It's been it's sort of a lone wolf, because I think we live in a society where, like you were saying, the standards set by the gynocracy on black women's behavior, particularly as it pertains to how we interact with black men. And I think we live in a society, in a place where gynocratic thinking is expected of us. We're expected to be gynocrats.
Yep.
We're expected to be hyenas. Like, that's the expectation. And it becomes a little weird when you don't subscribe to that expectation. Particularly, it's a pleasant surprise with the men. For the women, when they realize you're not really on that ball game with them, you're not playing that game with them, it's almost immediately a hostile type of situation potentially. And so when I'm out and about, like, okay, because I drive,
Hmm.
and when I see Black men, I always try to make sure that I have a pleasant demeanor, and I try to make sure that, I'm greeting them pleasantly and speaking to them, in a certain way. And they're always very surprised. Like 9 out of 10 times, I get a really positive response from that. They're like, oh, she's really nice. Now, some of them kind of misconstrue that as a bit of flirtation. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit of a flirt, just a tiny bit. So they kind of are like, oh, is she flirting with me? But no, actually just being pleasant. But with the ladies, once you get into social situations offline, it kind of becomes a situation where I almost have to think about, how am I going to say this, or how am I going to react to a certain situation, like when feminism is expected of you and you're not a feminist.
Right.
Like, because sometimes I get ladies that come into the Uber, and depending on their conversation, if they want to have a conversation, they're obviously feminists. And they're looking for the cosign when they say things that I don't agree with. And so because I'm at work during that time, it's like, well, I don't want to be rude and be like, girl, that's stupid. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe that, and da 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 da. So I get caught in a situation where it's like, oh, that's an interesting point of view. And I have to speak to them almost vaguely. And many times they get it. They're like, oh, you're one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're one of them, or one of those little pick-me chicks or something, whatever derogatory term that they have. As far as online, when I first got here, my intention was to support the Black male space on YouTube. I really didn't have any intention on becoming a content creator at all. I got encouraged by Valdez and BGS to actually become a content creator. And I was heavily supported by them also. And then, of course, we were doing the BGS for women and things of that nature. So that kind of picked up over time as well. We started getting a larger audience to come and see what we were talking about. So my goal has always been the support of what was going on in this space. And I was met more so with open arms from more of the men than I was the women. And I'm just really going to be honest. I did come in with teeth and claws. Like, I have a reputation that was earned since I became a content creator. And that reputation, as far as the women were concerned, was not a good one. They didn't like me. They didn't know how to take me. It was offensive to them. And they were like, no, she's one of the pick-me's, or she's one of the, male identified women, or she's one of those women, and we don't like her because, she, tap dances for the manosphere and all of that kind of stuff. So a lot of that, and me being who I am, I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bite your head off because of it. So, that kind of didn't make for a really open, I guess, path for a lot of women to come to the channel, just because of, kind of how I carried everything. So just to wrap it up, because I know I get real long-winded.
No, you're fine. I'm loving this.
How I was dealing with it was really to block at first. Any females that came over that showed me spots, you were getting blocked, or you were going to get that work. One of the two. At this point, it's called evolution. And I think that we're ready to have a conversation. And I think most importantly, I'm ready to have a conversation with the ladies that want to have a conversation. So I'm not so ready to, I'm not so ready quite to do that.
Yeah,
I think it's more important now at this point to have a conversation that's going to move us forward. So,
absolutely. Yeah, and piggybacking on what you were saying earlier, because you mentioned earlier in the stream that there's a con for us, the con game that's working with us being in the background, red pill women that are being in the background. I mean, it's not even red pill women in a way, it's just women, true women. Because I talked to my grandmother yesterday for like 2 hours straight. Okay, she's 93 years old. Okay, and I can talk to her like, like my friend, like just, and I'm the only granddaughter that calls her, you know,
wow.
consistently. I'm always calling her. We laugh and joke on the phone. We have the video on. The only time the video goes black is because she pressed the wrong button. You know, we're sitting there, she's making a cake she's stirring the cake batter in a wheelchair, we're laughing and talking, and sipping her vodka tonic, my lord. But there's there's a con game, to being in the background. And my point is like a lot of women that you see now that we're terming as red pill women, a lot of the or at least for me, we have to go all the way back to that generation. My grandmother being in her 90s to see where the gynocracy, the seeds of it. I see like where she is, it's sad that she's red pill in many, many ways. And, she had a saying, she's like, if you're a woman, you shouldn't be homeless. You shouldn't have any issue having no man, having no place to live, having food to put in your stomach. If you could crack an egg, you could spread a leg. And I heard another content creator say that,
Go ahead, Grandma.
you know, and I said, Grandma, where you think I got the saying from? She was like, you probably got it from me. I was like, yeah. She from I call it the old pirate days. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how, it was. And the petticoats and not that far back, but that's how she comes off. She's like, you're a woman. Ain't no reason why you or your children should be starving. Now, if you want to go out here and get one of these bums, we call them simps, um, you want to get a bum, a bootleg to come out here and help you, then that's fine, you and your kids. She's like, but if you're a female, then you should have no problems getting that, getting what you need to get in life and moving forward. She's like, but make sure that you're loyal to that man, because if you're not loyal, don't get mad if he cuts you, you
Hmm.
know, cuts you. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't get mad. You can't be upset with that. That's your fate. And if you lie, you're not honorable. You're not holding up the honor of that man. You can't be mad if you end up 6 feet under. Like, and nobody around you can be mad if that happens to you. And so
Right.
I think it's extremely important us not to play the background. Like, my role, even professionally, is to play the background. Within the family dynamic, I pretty much just play the background. You know,
Mhm.
and I do my job. I do what I have to do. I'm with the kids. I'm nurturing with them. But for the most part, they're gonna be with their dad. They're gonna do stuff with him, and I don't have any animosity to that. It is what it is. I do what I do. My reward is seeing that they're healthy, they're happy. Their stomachs are full. They have a good night's sleep. They're warm. They have nothing to want or need. Everything, all their needs are taken care of. So that's my thing. So like if we play the background, like you said, like there's lies and misinterpretations. There's a misrepresentation of what a woman should be, what a woman, the idea of a woman, the image of a woman
Yeah.
is lost. And that's a big, big issue. But I'll stop right there.
Yeah.
He said grandma on point.
Mhm.
Yeah, my grandma be on point for real, man.
Grandma is on point. She's right about, as a woman, you shouldn't have a problem getting what you need in this world. And not to speak for your grandmother, but just to add to that knowledge, and I'll acknowledge everyone's contributions in just a moment. I'm not going to leave you hanging. But just to add to that, a little context and a little, weight to that,
Mm-hmm.
as a woman, what you need is coming from men. And by your grandmother being in her 90s, she may be your grandmother, but she's an ancestor
Mm-hmm.
because of her age, because of, she spent 9 decades in this world and counting. So she has seen so many things and she's experienced so many things and she knows about what's going on, even if, she's not coming from a quote unquote 2020 perspective, she doesn't need to. She understands the dynamic and those dynamics don't change no matter what technology or what society really does.
Right.
And the understanding there and the wisdom in what she said was that as a woman, if you're in your feminine energy, there is a man somewhere that's going to value that. And
Right.
because he values that, he is going to supply for your well being in this world. And that to me is one of the biggest disservices that feminism and gynocratic thinking has done to women by telling us that loyalty to our husbands, servicing the family that we're a part of, it somehow makes us weak, or somehow it makes us not valuable.
Hmm.
Somehow it makes us worthless. When in reality, your degrees and your career and all of these other things that you hold in esteem, and I'm not knocking any woman
Hmm.
that pursued any of that, but I will caution a woman who pursued it at the detriment of her family and neglecting her femininity and taking this forward role that she might not have needed to take. Because in my family, I wasn't afforded the opportunity to remain in the background. I had to come up front. So if my family had a matriarch, I would be her.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting sort of step for me to have to take in my life and the role that I've had to do, and then learn how to step back and then just support because it changed. Like, for instance, um, raising my siblings. When they were younger, I was their mother,
Mm-hmm.
right? For all intents and purposes. But as they got older, I couldn't be their mother. I had to then switch back into I'm your sister. I'm your sister. And that was an interesting sort of transition for me to have to learn rather than just being in that space all along and
Right.
being afforded the opportunity to sort of play a supportive role to my family the whole way through. So I definitely understand what Grandma said. We're going to continue with just a moment, but let me acknowledge the super chat. Asiatic Buso, thank you so much. DS1 and Topaz, thank you both for your contribution. So thank you so, so, so much. I really appreciate it. So,
That was yeah, I was just thinking about that. You were saying, um, yeah, that would be very difficult to have to. You're already you're supposed to be or expected to be their sister, and you're playing their mother, and under the circumstances, and then um, you go back to your natural role later on. Um, like it'd be interesting to see from from their perspective, because I mean, I don't, I'm just saying, like, because seeing you as their mom and then as their sister, but you're their, it's like sister mom, that
mhm.
type of, ah, yeah, that's a hard transition right there.
It is, because I never really stopped being their mother. They never stopped regarding me as their mother.
Mm.
In a lot of ways, they call me mom. My sister will call me mom now. Like, she will call me mom. Like, she'll just come up, hey, ma, and stuff like that. And sometimes she'll call me by my nickname, but at other times she'll be like, ma, if she gets into some type of trouble or she want something, ma, ma, you gonna help me, ma, and it's like, okay, girl, I ain't gonna never be able to. She 33, I ain't gonna never be able to stop her from saying it. She
Yeah,
always
that's
gonna
locked in.
say,
Yeah, it's locked in and baked into the cake. Yeah.
yeah,
But
that's big.
there was another thing I wanted to mention. Like, oh yeah. So this is a little short story. I went to my headlight went out, so the I call myself trying to change the headlight, trying to be independent.
You're
Plan.
independent and strong. You
I
just
did
be
it because
strong.
I didn't want to be I didn't want to be a burden, and I knew that his schedule was busy that day, and I was like, I can't be. I'm afraid to be driving around during this time, and um, this was Monday, and I was like, election is tomorrow, and I don't want to be driving and get pulled over, you know, by some officer that's got his panties in a bunch for whatever reason. So I was like, let me just go ahead and try to do it myself. And he actually was resting, and I don't like to wake people up when they're asleep. And I was like, I could try to do it. Let me watch a couple YouTube videos and you know
That's me all day. It's really, it's good and it's bad. But go ahead. I'm not gonna
right.
interrupt your
It's
story.
bad because I was watching videos. I was like, well, I'm watching men doing it and women trying to do it. And I know people in the chat is like, it ain't that hard to change your head, like Nicole. I know it ain't that hard. But for me, I put too much grease on my hands and the thing fell in there. So the light fell into the car. I was like, oh my God.
Oh man.
I was before I knew it, I was like,
Mm.
oh, I got it in. I got it in there. I was so, like, I was so lost. I turned the light on and then I look and I was like, why the light not coming on? What's going on here? And it had fell down inside the car.
Mm.
So he's like, well, I guess you're gonna have to get it, fixed or something. He couldn't get it out. Went to Firestone, and there was an older lady. This is a test to see what type of gynocratic gynometry gyn
Just say
gyno
geometry.
yeah, shout out the nameless protagonist, the gynometry gynometrical
A
witchcraft.
mathematical
Yeah,
gynocratic
the
equation.
gynometrical witchcraft equation she was gonna come up with. And I said, you know what? I did this mess, but I'm gonna see what she gonna say if I say he did it. So
Mm.
we were just sitting there chilling. She was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." We talking with our mask on, and
Mm.
wait for them to fix what I messed up. And I was like, "Man, the headlight fell in there." Like she said, "Oh, he don't know what he's doing." What? Like she just assumed, the
Right.
assumptions galore. I was like, "What the heck?" It was crazy.
Right.
But she was like, "That's why you can't trust no man do nothing." Now, mind you, this is an older black woman. I would say in her 60s. So she's about my mother's generation. So she's a baby boomer, and she's talking like this about a man she ain't never met, ain't never gone,
Mhm.
don't know. Um,
Mhm.
man could be in a coma or something. She don't know,
She don't know.
paraplegic, legless, whatever. She don't know.
And she don't know who he is to you. She doesn't know. She has
Exactly.
no idea about the dynamics. Uh,
Yes.
and speaking on that, this will kind of lead into the next uh, question that I want to tackle as well. But touching on what you were just saying about her assumptions about a man that she had never met.
Mm,
This, ladies, and I'm talking to the ladies, all who are in the chat, who are in the clouds, whether you agree or disagree with the content that myself and Sister Nikole put out. It's so destructive to just assume and have this teaching and this underlying knowledge, quote unquote, and understanding that our men are nothing, men in general, Black men in particular, that our men are incompetent, that they are always wrong, that they are not good leaders, that they have a myriad of issues that make them unworthy or make their manhood suspect. This is such a destructive programming. And I'm using that word very specifically. And we have to drop that. No matter where you think you fall on the scale of, you know, gynocrat to male identified, if that's what you want to say, you know, on a scale of queen hyena to, you know, queen lioness, no matter where you think you fall on that scale, it is such a destructive way of thinking because it translates in almost every interaction you have, directly and indirectly, with men, whether you know them or you don't. And the lady that Sister Nikole was just talking about indirectly interacted through Nikole with a man she didn't know, and it was a disrespectful interaction.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
off the rip. And that's what I was meaning by um, when gynocentric thought is expected of you. So that leads us to the next part of the conversation that I want to tackle. How do you combat gynocratic and feminist socialization within yourself and your immediate environment? Because we grew up here, and so it's not like we weren't introduced to these thoughts and this way of being and acting and thinking. So how did you personally deal with that inside of you and like your immediate environment?
Yeah. So basically the same way. That's why I was bringing that story up because I knew that it would lead into this next question. So the way I dealt with it, and still deal with it, from time to time within myself, is the way I deal with it with a lot of the practitioners of gynometry. Um, so what I do is active listening is absolutely a must, and I listen when other people are talking, particularly men, because usually when a man speaks, he's giving usually he's giving direction and giving a specific step by step strategy of what needs to be done. Okay, this is how we're going to do it, and then listening to the tone of voice. That's one thing women got to get off of. Man, use a certain tone of voice. He's not yelling at you. Because I used to say that. Why are you yelling at me?
Exactly.
Why are you yelling?
Yelling at me.
Are you yelling at me? Oh my
Like,
God.
why are you being so
Are you
mean?
being aggressive? Oh, why? Why are you doing that? Are you angry? No, I'm not angry. I'm just saying what I got to say. He's being assertive. He's being masculine. He is a man. He's not a little boy. So that I was like, I had to get out of that. And I listen, and I also understand that men are not automatons. They do have emotions. They do get upset. They are sad. Newsflash to women who may not know that. But yes, and I know that every man is not the same, and so for me, I know that when he's upset about something, he's gonna be in his man cave. He gonna, you know, I already know when I
You
come in
know the
there. When somebody
sign.
comes in there, yeah, you know the signs. Like you come in there, and if he got his feet kicked up, then he's relaxed. It's okay.
Right, we good,
Leaning
right?
forward, if he's leaning forward playing the game, and I say, oh, would you like a beer or something? He just turn. He don't even really turn his head. He just look. That I'm thinking it's not me. Don't automatically think it's you. That's another thing. Don't automatically think it's something you did, ladies. Um, maybe he's going through something. He's trying to deal with that. You at that point you can support. And he just looks. Sometimes if he looks and he looks mad, he's not mad at you. He's just in
Mm,
probably deep thought. Trying to figure out this situation or whatever. the best option is, you already know what he like. If you're in that position, in that relationship, you know what he likes to drink. Don't ask nothing else. Don't ask nothing else.
Right.
Just go get his drink or
Go get
whatever you know that he likes, bring it to him, sit it down.
it. Mm-hmm.
It's the actions that make a difference, for me at least, in trying to get out of this, gynocracy, the socialization thing. And I noticed with my mom, like she spoke more than in the action than acting. The behavior was less likely to happen versus her speaking. She's more verbal person, right? And so that for men, sometimes it's like, they don't want to hear us. And I get that. And also the last thing I'll say is like being consistent with the things that you're doing. Be consistent. Like one day you arguing about something or having a debate about something, and you just got to be right. You just got to be right. Well, that ain't it. I gotta have the last word and all this other mess. And next day you're like, oh my goodness, I'm just sugar spice everything nice. What?
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna be that, then be that all the time. Like that's what you're gonna stick to it. Like you always say, pick your struggle. What you
Yeah,
gonna do? Like
you gotta
like
pick.
do that. Try to be consistent. And that's on you as a female. That's your responsibility to take care of those inner demons trying to work their way out. They work their way out of different places and different times or whatever. That's on you to make sure that you have yourself in check, because you going to him with your problems like, this, that, the other. Just saying things inconsistently from day to day, showing him like you had worked out what's going on. Like it's not his job to be figuring out what the heck going on in your head like that, unless he's a therapist. You know what I'm saying? But otherwise, like try to keep the peace in the home as much as you can. Everything ain't gonna be peaches and cream all the time, but try to at least like stick to those things. Active listening, like trying to make sure that you keep the peace as much as you can, communicating properly, and being as consistent as you possibly can. Like those are, I think in my it says within my in my immediate environment, those are the things that I try my best to like keep at the forefront. Those are like goals for me.
Okay. Yeah, that you kind of echoing some things in my head because one of the things I think that I personally internalized from gynocentric socialization was not feeling anything, um, which puts you in a masculine space as a woman. Being in charge of things and having that authority to a certain degree. And when I got married the first time, I had to work through that. Having to be right, needing to be right, which led to arguments, which in turn led to the why is he being so mean? Why is he, because growing up underneath the gynocentrics, my mother is very gynocentric, very. And then not really being indoctrinated into it, but still parts of that programming touch you. You can't be unscathed. And so the part that touched me was being super hypersensitive, but your sensitivity was way above, how smart your mouth is. And I think that those need to be equal. If you got a super smart mouth, your sensitivity need to come down, you know what I'm saying, a little bit to match how smart your mouth is.
Mm.
And so I got a real quick tongue. I'm quick with it. So I'll start cutting before I even really know what's going on. It's like, okay, let me just cut this real quick. And my late husband was like, what? Wait, wrong answer. First of all, our communication not gonna be like this because you don't run me. I'm gonna need you to understand that right now. You don't run me. Like you don't run me. I run me. And if anybody's running anybody, I run you. So I need you to understand the position. And when he said it, like, I was wounded. I was completely wounded. I was like, oh my God, what is he saying? He just being so mean. And it wasn't. He was asserting his masculinity. Like, okay, if I'm the leader of what's going on, then you can't run me. Period. Like, under any circumstance. So all of this assertiveness you got, and you know what I'm saying, figuring something's supposed to happen just because you said, maybe that worked where you came from, but it's not going to work in this household, because this is my household. Now I love you. You're in the household with me because I love you and I want you here. But that don't mean you get to run me, period. So I had to kind of take, through time, I had to kind of take my feelings out of that, because and learn the difference between his anger and his masculine assertiveness. And there's a difference when he's mad at you because you did something, and when he's not mad at all, but he is asserting his authority in this situation. And to not have your feelings so wrapped up and worn on your sleeve that anything that he says, if he takes the time. And I think that that's another part of gynocentric programming, that toxic masculinity stuff. Anytime they show their aggression or show their authority or show, that's automatically to be taken as a negative. Especially if it's directed at you, or it's directed at something that has something to do with you, or whatever. Like if your husband comes in and he doesn't like what's been going on in the house for the past few days, and he starts calling you on it. Like, hey, what's going on? It could be a cleanliness situation. It could be a energy situation. He don't like your attitude for the past few days. He tried to be quiet and let you work it out. You couldn't work it out. Now he got to call you on it. Now you got to have a conversation about what's going on with you. You mad or something? Like, well, like what's happening with you? And that's automatically to be taken as some sort of abusive thing that he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Or he's too controlling. He's trying to control it. He's trying to control what's going on in the house. But he needs the ability to influence what's going on in the home. Like, he needs the ability. And you as a woman have a job to do in that home to keep things moving positively and moving upward and moving forward within that home. And like a good leader, if he finds someone on his team who's starting to lag behind in their responsibilities or in the tasks that have been delegated to them, a good leader is always going to stop and say, hey, what's going on with that? What's happening with you? This doesn't seem to be how we usually interact, or this isn't how this usually goes. I see a difference. So what's going on? And if there's really a conversation that needs to be had, we need to have our big girl panties on, so to speak, and be able to articulate what's really going on with us and not be afraid to open up into that vulnerability. And I think that's one of the things that I have to fight personally in terms of gynocentric socialization and things of that nature, that closed off, don't let a man in type of situation, and not wanting to be open and vulnerable and show him your belly and say, hey, these are the things that hurt. I got to tell you, what I'm saying? And it might not have anything to do with him, but it's just, this is what it is. And trust that he has your best interest in mind and heart, that he's not going to use those things against you.
Absolutely. That comes with once again, like, to have the loyalty thing and the trust. Absolutely, having trust in his decisions. Because a lot of times, the women, it's such a, we have thunder out here.
Hmm.
That's such a contradiction. You want a man there, but then when he's there to ask you what's going on, and don't go into a long litany of everything. Just give him one or two things. Ladies, give him a
Mm.
little time. A little at a time is okay.
I'm guilty as charged.
Yours.
I'm so guilty.
Me
I'm
too.
so guilty.
That's how
Mhm.
I know because you know, you know.
You sound a little muffled, sweetie.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, a little bit better. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh Lord, I just came out here to kill my food, and then this when the Lord, the God was like, "No, go in the house." Like, okay, so I'll come back in. Go in the house. Yes, sir.
Right.
Oh my God, now it's raining.
You
Oh, I
really
hear you,
sound to be
Jesus.
at the
I
house
hear you.
now.
Just came in like just on time, like, and now it's like leaves and branches flying. Y'all, this is crazy. But anyway, yeah, we don't normally get rain, so this is like amazing right here. But what I was saying was like, just give him a little bit, a little bit at a time, and don't overload him at any given time. If you know you with the man that you can trust, that's there for you, and you're going through this process. A lot of women, I don't think they trust the process of sharing. And I mean, I know it sounds corny, but sharing and caring. Like
Mhm.
he wants you to share with him, and pour out a little, just a little, a couple of tablespoons, not the whole vessel. Don't pour everything, and
I'm
you're gonna
so
drown
guilty, Nikole. I didn't feel like, I didn't know you was gonna attack me today. I'm so guilty.
him. No.
I'm so guilty of pouring the whole gallon out. Like, here, look what I can do, and then pour the whole
Mhm.
gallon out.
Mm-mm. No, my grandma said I have to bring her up again. Just like when you go to the well, because they used to have wells. You put the bucket in there, you put it down, you bring it out. She said you never drink out the bucket. You dip
Mm.
out a little with the cup. They used to have metal cups.
Hmm.
You dip out a little with the cup and drink a sip. Take a sip and pass it down the line. When you're working, and nobody ever drinks out the bucket. You can't manage that much water. Can't manage that much information, that much energy at one time. And the same goes for when you are sharing things with the man that you're with. Whether you're your boyfriend, fiance, your husband. You have to be careful with that, because there's certain things that you share, which are things that you should work on before you bring it to him. Because usually a man will look at it like, okay, how do I fix this?
Exactly. Exactly.
You ask
Exactly.
him to build a whole house when actuality, all you need is for him to fix the screen on the window. Not that
I'm
it's not that
very,
hard.
very, very, very guilty of that. Thank you, New, for the Cash App. And thank you, Fit Feminine Over 40. Thank you, sweetheart. She says, as women, we respond with our emotions first. We must learn to assert logic and put our emotions in check during most situations, especially when interacting with our husbands, which is very true. I'm actually coming from the other end of that, having to learn the balance because I'm able to emotionally check out and assert only my logic.
Yep.
But I found that that doesn't always work either because then your husband's wondering, where are your emotions? He's expecting a woman, and women come with that to varying degrees, depending on, who you are. But women come with that. And I learned with my first, with my late husband, that emotional detachment, he liked it and he didn't like it. He liked it because I was able to assert my logic in a situation, even if that situation was highly emotional for me. But then he didn't like it because when it came to those times where I should have been vulnerable and
Mm.
probably should have been crying or probably should have been upset, I wasn't. And he would be like, you weird. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
you a whole weirdo right now because and why you not? And then when I would get upset enough to cry, he would be like, "Now you really weirding me out." You know what I'm saying? Because you don't
Right.
really do this. So I'm actually at the point learning to come the other way and actually to strike the balance between because I'll either it's nothing or I'll pour the whole bucket. I'm
Right.
either not having no emotional reaction at all, well, not one that I'm showing. I'm having one inside, but I'm not. I'm cool as a cucumber. If I knew how to play poker, I'd be a pro at it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got an awesome
That
poker
that balance.
face.
That balance is so important. I'm like that too, like you were saying earlier, like call you on something and I've been, called to the carpet, so to speak, about, an issue and I was like, okay. I was listening to him and I was like, all right, I see what you're saying. And my response after that, and I've had to learn, to have more balance, like Fit Feminine over 40 saying there has to be balance, exactly. But he was like, what are we gonna do? He always says we, us. Rarely does he say me, I, you,
Yeah.
your. He usually says ours, me, we, and us, that type of thing. And he was like, what are we gonna do about this? I was like, well, if that's a problem for you, and I can already see in your face that that's hurting you, then I just won't do it at all. He was like, I ain't say you just can't do it at all, but
That's me to a T, Nicole. You are me to a T.
moderation. He was
Mhm.
like, and look,
Now that
moderation
you
is
do it.
okay. I was like, well, if it hurts you, I don't want to do something that hurts. I didn't say it hurt me. I didn't say it hurt me. I was like, well, if you're upset, I don't want to, he was like, oh gosh. Like he said, why you do that? It's all or nothing with you, all or nothing. I was like, I'm trying to, figure out, what's the best course of action. And he said, I said, and see, that's the thing I had to learn. That was a big misnomer on my part and just assuming like either it's all or nothing. And in reality,
Guilty.
I should have said like, maybe I should have worded it, I hear what you're saying. I need to let me think on that and and come back to you, because there's a way we can balance this out. There's a way we can mediate this and balance this out. But I need your help. That's now I need your help. That's
Mhm.
the thing that we really have to focus on. I need your help with this. And that's I think sometimes what in that type of situation or in any other situation where men are like, expecting us to say like I need your help. I need you perhaps to help me with this if necessary. I'm trying to work it out on my end and can you meet me halfway,
Mhm.
with this? And that is very helpful. Like I know that myself personally, that is extremely helpful where you literally you're being humble and you're being vulnerable but not weak. There's a difference between being
Thank
vulnerable
you
and
for
weak,
saying that. Thank you
right?
for saying that so much. There's definitely a difference between vulnerability and weakness. But go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yes, I mean that's it. Like right there. Those interactions are and as women we have to take those interactions. Like in my mind, if a man comes to you and says something to you about whatever it is, I don't care what it is. If he opens his mouth to say something, it's been on his mind a while. You
Yeah.
know, he's been waiting for you, like you said before. He's been waiting on you to make the correction, to
Hmm.
feel the energy and make the correction. I'm guilty of not always feeling the energy properly, and I'm learning how to do that more. But in order to do that, I've had to learn I have to be more vulnerable. I have to actually feel more,
Oh,
and
you
that's
are
that's the best
speaking my
thing for me.
language. Hmm. You are
Yeah.
speaking my
Okay,
language,
go.
Nicole. I'm having them epiphanies right now. I am because I think, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think in this situation I probably can. Um, we're intellectual. We're
Hmm.
intellectually driven. I connect to things and to people through my intellect, not necessarily my emotions. Um,
Mhm.
And I like that. I like doing it because I'm good at it. But at this point, I'm like you. I'm guilty sometimes of not being able to read the room emotionally and read the energy of what's happening emotionally, and then making the proper adjustments, because that was something that I struggled with a lot in my marriage, the all or nothing thing, and then feeling like I was a burden thing. Um, that you mentioned, with like, okay, if he brought up something, I'm not really feeling how this was done, sweetheart. And I would just say, oh, well, I won't do it no more. I didn't say you couldn't do it at all. I didn't say that. I'm just saying I didn't really like how that was done, or maybe I didn't like the timing. And in my head, and I think that's where my lines get crossed. I try to think about what the next thing is rather than feel what the next right step is. And there's a difference. So that's where that all or nothing came from for me personally. When he would say, I didn't really like this or that, oh, well, that in my head, that's gone. I'll never do that again. I'll never say that again. I'll never interact that way ever again. No matter how I thought about it, if he didn't like it, I just won't do it. And it would be like, and when I was younger, I used to get frustrated. He used to get frustrated, and I didn't understand why. And he was like, okay, listen, I don't need you to do that. And I'm like, you don't need me to do what? I would be confused. Like, you just said you didn't like that. So if you didn't like something that I did and I tell you I'm not going to do it anymore, isn't that the outcome that you wanted? Not all the time. No, it's actually not the outcome that I wanted. I just want you to think about why I'm having an issue with it today. You're not understanding why I'm having an issue. It clearly you don't, because your answer is not do it anymore. But that's not my answer. Who's the leader here? Me or you? Whose answer
Right.
counts? Yours or mine? You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
I think my personal struggle and challenge issues from my intellect, because I can always, quote unquote, I can always figure something out, instead of figuring out how and when it's appropriate to just not understand. And like you said, telling baby, I need help with that. I don't got that. I don't know. I don't know. And I need your leadership and your guidance here. And I think that's another thing that the gynocracy takes from women, that type of vulnerability. Telling your husband, who you chose to be your leader in your life and in your relationship, and telling him, I don't know what to do in this situation. I need your guidance and your leadership here.
Yeah, a lot of within the gynocracy with feminism, the damsel in distress or the which to me was not really I mean it's a negative. You have a negative connotation on that. And it was really about being vulnerable. It wasn't about, when someone mentions the phrase, damsel in distress, you think of a woman hanging off a cliff somewhere and a
Mm-mm.
man coming in riding on a horse. Hi ho silver. He's coming in on a
Oh
horse.
goodness me,
You know,
what am I going
exactly.
to do? Yeah.
Be holding on to a little weak behind branch with one hand on her head, like, Lord, I just don't know what I was gonna do. Oh my goodness, the Scarlett O'Hara type of
Mhm.
archetype. I did a video about Scarlett O'Hara. You don't want to be Scarlett O'Hara out in the street. That was the 1860s. This is 2020. You're gonna be on the side of the road. But you know, with your lovely red dress on and everything. But it's like you have that whole damsel in distress thing was like it was negative and it's still seen as negative. And I'm like, you're just being a female. That's why I say like feminism and gynocracy is it's such a huge it's a castle of contradiction on a hill somewhere because it does not make sense. You can't.
It does.
be like it's a conditional issue. Like they have conditions on when you can help me, and then when I don't need you no more. And I mean, you just get a blow up doll. I'm sure they got male blow up dolls somewhere. That will interact with you and talk to you and do
Right.
stuff with you. Just do that. Like, what's the point? Like, you can't, you can't do that with a person who has their own mind, their own emotions, their own goals and aspirations. If you don't want to be on that track going in that direction, then you need to be alone. You need to figure out what you need to do. But the whole damsel in distress, the whole vulnerability is linked with, for me, being vulnerable. You're being honest. You're being honest with him. He can trust you more because he knows you're being honest with yourself. A man that kind of knows that, like, if you're not honest with him, and you're kind of weird because you're probably not honest with yourself. Like that
Mm,
whole thing. Women think men, like I said earlier, they're not automatons, they're not robots that follow a program, developed in some lab somewhere. They have their own mind. They have freaking common sense to
mhm.
know that if you deceptive with me, you're deceptive with yourself. And if you're deceptive with yourself, you're a dangerous woman.
Yeah.
You know,
And
this
I
is not something that a man necessarily will say to you. It's a
right.
subconscious thing. And then you come home and his stuff is packed. Come home from work, all his stuff is packed because
Mhm.
he's fed up. All that subconscious energy, all that subconscious, you know, trash that he's like sitting here going through. How you have all this mail in this bag somewhere. He going through all this old mail, subconscious mail, just going through it. And he like,
Mhm.
man, a pile to throw away, which is you, and a pile to keep, which ain't you.
It was
And the
exactly.
pile, the pile to throw away is taller than the pile to keep. He
Yeah.
gonna be like, "Wow, I'm with this broad," you know.
Yeah.
And that's when you come home, and that's the biggest, the most devastating surprise of my life. I'm going to Oprah. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Bye.
That's how that works. That's how that.
Yeah. And I think that women a lot of times underestimate not only, like you said, men being automatons. A lot of times women underestimate men's emotional intelligence.
Oh
They
yeah.
underestimate that. The ability for men to pick up on certain energy, and because they're not women, they're
Hmm.
not gonna communicate that like your girlfriend would. A lot of times he's not gonna communicate that verbally, but he'll start communicating it in other ways. It's a problem when your man used to come directly in from work and now he's not. He lags around, he finds reasons not to come home. Or if he is at home, he finds reasons not to interact with you. He finds reasons not to talk to you. Or the interaction is a struggle where it used to be easy. Now it's like pulling teeth, or what it's difficult communication when at first that communication used to be easy. And like you said, they know what's going on when you're dishonest with you. They don't trust that because you can't be honest with them if you're dishonest with yourself. Then that helps to break the trust of the relationship.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's like that. That whole thing is damaging. Um, because if you're in a relationship that's not that serious, meaning you're not living together, you're not married or anything, but you're just dating, um, you end up damaging that man and that situation. You end up damaging yourself because if you are looking to progress this relationship further and it doesn't go anywhere and you end up breaking up, okay, you put another issue on his plate and he takes to the next woman. you know
Yeah,
uh,
that's
you
true.
put another issue on your plate that's not resolved. You have a lot of unresolved issues, unresolved energy that you're taking from one relationship to another. Like, how is that helping? Not only that, but the reputation of black women is not that good.
No, it's
So you making it worse. Don't think you're not gonna go and talk to his friends and be like, man, I tried this, I tried that. and she's just a weirdo. Like I can't, you
Right.
know, I trust her. I can't trust her with who I am. That's I think that's one thing when I talk to men, and I'm talking about younger guys, like my little cousins and stuff. They're younger, my brother. They're like, man, it's hard to trust women out here because I don't know who she is. I don't even think she knows who she is.
Yeah.
And these are young guys. These are the Zennial guys
Mm-hmm.
talking. They're like, I don't even think she knows who she is. Like,
A lot of
first
times
of all,
they don't know.
yeah. And they were like, first of all, like, and my brother was like, I hate to say this, but I wish they were like mommy. I was like, I just wish they were like mommy, but these ladies out here, these gals, man. I was like, well, that's the way you messed up because you trying to date some gals.
Mm-hmm.
You go in the taverns trying to date some gals. You need to be, going to putting yourself in more of an environment where this is the type of woman I want. Put yourself in that environment, and see what comes of it. It may not be 100%, but you can see, oh, I definitely don't want that. Even within that different environment, you
Mm-hmm.
would be better equipped to recognize these little signs and symbols that you see in women. And he hasn't given up, thankfully. He's still like trying to, him and his friends and everything, they're still um, basically just going through it as far as how to recognize those things. Because within the society, as a blue pill society, what you're raised on, the expectations of women is being broken down now.
Yeah.
And men are starting to, that iron curtain is being cracked, and certain pieces of it are falling off, certain panels of it are falling off the rails, and they're starting to see what is really going on. How do I respond? And how do I remain consistent with my response? And I think that's a good thing. I
Yeah.
really do think that's a good thing.
It is. And that actually brings me to the last aspect that I want to tackle, which is a two-part question.
Hmm.
And that is, how do you identify and support the red pill men in your life? And if there aren't any, how do you support the blue pill men in your life? And I thought that was a interesting one.
Hmm. I have quite a few red pill men in my life. I didn't really know um, they were red pill until I really, sat down and started thinking about it. And my dad, I mean, that was I think the first person I would identify. Um, because anyone that's red pill, everyone starts off as blue pill identified basically because you're in a society that's developed a certain way for you not to see the truth and not to even think about looking for it. Um, and so my dad, I think number one, I identify him, of course, later in life. When as a kid, I didn't know anything about that, but um, I identify him as a person who always seeks the truth, even if it hurts. And him, then I think as far as supporting him, like I always listen to my dad has to say, and we go back and forth. I mean, we argue about stuff all the time, politics, what's going on in the world, different countries, and all kinds of stuff, economics. Like we argue about everything, science. And most of the stuff I talk about on here, I've argued with my dad about it, basically. So,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, how things are going. And so in supporting him, I'm always like taking his advice, taking his guidance. And he doesn't give me as much guidance and advice anymore because I've transitioned. So, he's basically like he said, you ain't my problem no more. He said that. I was like, and he talks a good riddance, you know, and laughing about it. I was like, oh, whatever, old man. We go back and forth. But like in supporting him, I think because he told me like being the good woman that you are, being the best woman you can be, that's all the thanks I need. I don't need all the accolades and stuff, and I don't need all that. And he's like, just being the best woman you can be, and not being no scallywag and skis in these streets. He said, that's all. I didn't raise you to be like that. I raised you to be, the woman that you are. And if you want to seek new heights, then do that. So in him saying those encouraging words to me, like me supporting him would be just like what he said. Like I'm gonna do what he says because that's respect, that's loyalty, that's family. It's my father. Always respect him. Even if he make me mad, still, gonna be there. As far as like blue pill men, uh, there are quite a few. And the excuse me, the red pill. I'll speak on the red pill first. As far as the red pill men, like we see red pill men on here on this platform. Um, I support red pill men in my real life as well, and I do what I can. I'm really would like to do more. Um, so I'm really like trying to figure out what I could do to do more. I would like to help, like for instance, Dr. Tia Johnson. I really want to help him with things that he's doing. And support what he's doing. And you guys go to his channel and check him out and subscribe. By the way, and other people that are doing work that's really good, who are red pill. As far as blue pill, as far as the blue pill guys, I would say that it is annoying to me, but um, it's some of the things that they say. Uh, it's like a male feminist. Um, they're not seeing. Some of them are not. They don't see. It's just blatant ignorance. It's just simple ignorance. They don't know. They just don't know. And to others, they kind of have an inkling that something's there, but they refuse to open that door. And they're just like, I'm gonna stay right here. I'm good. Why are you lying to yourself, dog? Why are you lying? Like, don't lie. You ain't gotta lie,
Comfortable.
Fred.
You get comfortable.
You ain't got to lie.
Right.
They
You
just
ain't
sit there like,
got
I'm
to
just gonna be, I'll be good, right? I'm good right here. I don't need to do
Mm-hmm.
nothing else. Like, you see you struggling every time I see you. I mean, I'm serious. Like every time I see one guy in particular, he's if his woman raises a hand, this man jumps. Like the heck?
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
like, are you that much into the gynocracy and that much adherent to it where you are, if a man jumps when a woman raises her hand just to, get a drink or something, and he's like, I'm like, is she hurting you? I'm sitting here like,
Right. Point
okay,
to where it hurt, baby. I won't
yes.
tell nobody.
I get the little doll out and show me where she touched you. you know,
Right.
that, that,
Please
and
show
that's
me
to
where
me,
your
that's an
secret is safe
extreme.
with me.
That's an extreme, but that's true. Um, and that's of course misandry all over the place. But she would turn around and say, there is toxic masculinity out here as she's, sipping a Jack and Coke, and he's sitting here looking around like,
Right.
who shot John or something? He's sitting here
Right.
looking like Sealy, house
Exactly.
full of purple. And I'm like, dude, what is the deal? So that type of thing, I
Right.
don't know how to say or support a man in that position because I'm like, is there a foundation or organization where you can go to? You need to run, like you need to get
You,
out of there. And you've been
you
married
do
for 10 years.
need to get to the
Like what?
chopper immediately.
Get to the chopper. Dead serious. Yes, I see that. I see the other side of red pill where you have young boys where I'm like, you gonna be red pill. I mean, you gonna be blue pill, and I don't think you're gonna be able to come out because I can see the
Mm,
environment you're in, and I just, uh, you know, where it's just like he doesn't have a voice, he doesn't have an opinion. I asked him, what do you think about that? He's like, I don't know. His mom, he don't ever say nothing. He ain't got nothing to say. Da, 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 da. I'm like,
right. Just under the boot heel. Mm-hmm.
no. And, go over there and get me another bottle of water. And he's just like, yeah. I'm like, this is not a servant.
Right.
He's not your servant. This is your son. What are you doing? That type of thing. And supporting them. I'm like, I said one thing, for instance, that young boy, I was like, I'm gonna get you in touch with my brother. He gonna do some boxing with you.
Mm.
Actively try to put the young boys and even men. Of course, they have their own faculties to do that, own money to do that, but putting them into more of a male dominated space with active, where they can be active, have more confidence in themselves. So I have helped that, and my brother was like, "This boy is a wimp." I said, "Don't say that out loud. Don't put that
Mm.
energy out there." I was like, "Just work with them and see what's going on." And he works with them, and he was like, he getting stronger, he getting a little better. He actually said his first word the other day. I was like, "Oh my God." He did. The boy doesn't talk. He's. I thought he was mute.
Wow.
Because he just does not talk. He will nod or shake his head, nod yes or shake his head no. He raised his hand to say something, and we're in the house talking, and he will raise his hand. He'll put his finger up like he's at church. I'm like, what kind of feminine gynometrical witchcraft is going on
Right.
here?
Right. Exactly.
What
Exactly.
is this? I see that, and I'm like, that's how you identify, because it's easy to identify. I mean, anyone that says they can't, they lying. It's easy to identify. If you are a boy or a man, if you're acting feminine, that that's like there's something there. Something there has happened. Something there is a brewing. Something's
Mm.
brewing. We need to figure out what that is. Same on the other side. If you're dealing with that's with blue pill. Same thing on the side with red pill. Very easy to recognize. It's not aggressive energy. It's assertive energy. Even if the man that's a red pill man is assertive and he's wrong, he has put out what it is he's going to say. If I'm wrong, I'll be corrected later.
Mm-hmm.
But a blue
That's a
pill
good
man
point.
is like, huh?
No, I was just saying that's a good point. I was agreeing with you with that. Mm.
Oh, yeah, blue pill man is like, well, I'll just wait for the ladies to talk, and
Mhm.
I'll give my 2 cents here and there. What?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
this your house? What you doing?
Right. Waiting on the ladies to clue you in and cue you in, and
The
that's
button.
hmm and yeah, I like what you said about it being easy to identify. Um, like
Hmm.
you, my father was the first red pill man that I ever met without having that terminology to describe him.
Yeah.
And I miss that old man. I miss that man. Nikole, I be trying to figure out, let me call my dad. You can't call your daddy. But
Wow.
he, like, one of his big things was he was like, I don't do business with women. I do pleasure with women. I said, what that mean, Daddy? He said, I don't do business with women. Women are not in my business. What business I have, women are just not a part of that. He was like, but I love women. I love them. They're just a part of, a woman is my family. A woman is my daughter. A woman is, my woman or whatever. That's who she is to me. Um, and like he just carried his life in such a way, he carried himself in such a way. He just had a command about him that
Wow.
everybody had to respect. It didn't matter that he wasn't as educated as the next man formally. He could be standing in front of multimillionaires, and my daddy knew a lot of them, because so a lot of his business partners that he was doing business with were millionaire men. And I never saw him intimidated by anybody. Usually they were sort of intimidated by him. Um, and just his assertive way that he went about things. He knew what he knew, and you wasn't gonna tell him he didn't know it. And he could do what he can do, and you wasn't gonna tell him he couldn't do it. And in his mind, he was a man, and that meant he did whatever came to him to do, and he was gonna do it. And there wasn't a soul alive that had the authority to tell him no. And so he was the template for me being able to identify men like that. Now, I didn't have that terminology when I was young about red pill, blue pill, but I just felt like, well, my dad is masculine. You know, he's a man, and men should act like this. Men should have this sort of set about them. And so, like you said, it's kind of easy to identify a red pill man because they're masculine. You know, in my eyes, that's what it translates into. A red pill man is a man who has not given up his masculinity. He has not foregone his masculinity or any part of it. He is a man, and he's a masculine man in every aspect. And it doesn't matter if people agree or disagree with how he's moving. Like you said, you know, if he's assertive and wrong, he'll be corrected later. But right now, this is what it is. Right. And let it be what it is. And then later on, if it was wrong, well, I guess we'll correct it. But right now, you know what I'm saying? It is what I'm saying it is. And so that's how, you know, through the lens of my father is how I started identifying men like him. And if you didn't have a certain assertiveness as a man, I would kind of be looking like, oh, you a weirdo too. You kind of a low-key weirdo. Because you don't act with assertion, you don't act with confidence, you don't act with surety, you know, in your leadership, in your manhood and your masculinity. But in my personal life, I don't really know any blue pill men personally that I interact with on any type of regular basis. There are some blue pill men in my family, like cousins and stuff, but I don't really interact with them too much. The way that I support red pill men is simply to have that respect and that honor and that loyalty to them. I have the respect for them. I have the respect and the honor of their masculinity and their manhood. And especially when I'm interacting with them, you know what I'm saying, to take that supportive role with them and not an assertive role, because they don't tolerate that anyway. And as far as blue pill men go, if I do interact with them, the way in which I support them is I try to red pill them. I'll try to give them something, because it's nothing more hurtful to me than to watch a man take his manhood and ball it up and throw it in the garbage because a woman told him to. That hurts my soul. I don't like seeing it. So if I see a man doing that or falling into a gynocratic trap, it's like, no, baby, I can't let you do it. Just like a real quick story. This is probably a year or two ago, end of 2018, probably 2019, something like that. And I was driving a man around, and he chose to open up to me about a woman that he was dating, and their relationship wasn't going so good at the moment because he had chosen not to keep taking her out on these expensive dates. And so as he was talking to me, and I was kind of picking a little bit of information, and he ended up telling me that, you know, him and her had not even been intimate. I said, well, how long have y'all been going on dates and stuff? He was like, 2 months. I said, I almost stopped the car. I said, 2 months. And then one of the other things he was saying was, he was saying, the reason why he stopped taking her out is because she was making a habit of being late for the dates. Like not a few minutes late, but like an hour, you know, hour and a half, you know. And so I started talking to him because poor man was in a blue pill haze, and he was like in his late 40s, he had told me. I said, "Po baby," I said, "listen, she is disrespecting your time." And he had to sit back and think about that for a moment. I said, "She disrespecting you? That's disrespectful, sweetheart. I said, you cannot allow somebody to disrespect your time. I said, here you are taking her out on nice outings that she wants to go on, dinners and so forth and on. You're spending your money, you're footing the bill. At times you're coming to pick her up because I think he said something was wrong with his car, which is why he needed an Uber that night. And I said, and she doesn't have the respect of the situation is to be on time when you come to pick her up and take her on this fabulous night and have romance with her and all of this kind of stuff. I said, and so he was a little bit resistant. And I said, listen, I'm a woman. And I got just real. I said, I don't mean to hurt your heart, baby. I said, but I'm a woman. If you've been taking her out for like 2 months and you have not been intimate with her, that means you're the one that takes her out and that's what you're for. And the other guy, whoever she be late for you for, that's who having fun. That's who she really want. And I don't know who that guy is, but trust and believe you're not that guy and he's not you. So I said, now, if you've only been with her for this short amount of time, I would say cut your losses because you know no need for you to be in that situation with her for what?
Yeah.
Both of y'all are older for what? Be in that situation for what? Get your feelings hurt and get your heart hurt for a woman that, I'm saying, couldn't give two bits about you. I said, you need to find a woman that's appreciative of your time and effort to be with her. And she shows that appreciation, first of all, by not being late. Second of all, by not being disrespectful of you, your effort, or your time and your energy. I say your energy is valuable. And for the right woman, she will value it. The wrong woman is the one that don't value it. And that man got out of the game. Before he got out of the car, he said, I have never heard a woman talk like you before ever in my life. I said, really? He said,
Huh.
never, never. He said, you've actually given me a lot to think about considering other stuff that I know that I haven't said to you. He was like, thank you so much. I just ain't never had nobody that talk to me like that. And so that is basically how I try to support blue pill men. I try to red pill them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, other ladies. If I run into your blue pill man, I'm going to give him a dose of red pill best I can. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to condense it into a real concentrated form and shoot it at him like a BB gun.
Mhm.
And the next time he come back to you, he going to be giving you a side eye, sweetheart.
Yeah. That's good. Like that's wow. That's what he needed to hear at that time, and that resonated with him. And I hope that he took that and carried it through, and paid it forward, as well. That's excellent advice to give, and that's very direct. And I mean, for myself, I think, that it would have been hard for me to do that. It is hard to do that. But I absolutely appreciate that, and you taking that, having that courage to tell him that. And that's one thing I think as a red pill woman, it's like, you just be out. For me, I don't know about everybody else. I've said this before. Like when I get fed up, I get hot. Like literally, I think my temperature goes up. I just feel hot. I'm like,
Mm.
oh Lord, I have to get this out. Like I just have to say this to you. And like with the young boy, I just had to say it, and I knew if I put him in the position where he's with my brother already, my brother's on that level. So
Mm.
he's not raging or anything. He's on that level, and so he'd be like, "Okay, who sent you to me?" And the boy will say, "Well, your sister sent me here." And my brother be like, "Okay, okay, let's go through this." So now the boy has more of a balanced view of what's going on. He got this view, this structure from the man, and then he comes back. If he comes back, I hope he does it. I hope he actually stays in more male dominated spaces like that. I'm there to
Mm.
support. I've supported him and carried him to, the men in the environment that he needs to be in as he's developing, you know. But I definitely, what you saying right now, like what you said that was so important to me. I wrote it down. Time, the only resource you can't get back.
Mhm.
And I said it several times, and I haven't had anybody to come and say, "Oh, that's wrong." Here's a resource you another resource you can't get back. As far as I know, with a tiny little bit of wisdom I have, that's the only resource I know of you cannot get back. So definitely, you are right. When a woman disrespects your time, she's disrespecting your energy. She's disrespecting you as a man, as a human being. She's like,
Yes,
man,
exactly.
and on top of that, she's a scandalous little skit because she out here in the street with somebody else. You know that. You know she with
Hmm.
somebody else now.
Hmm.
You can't figure that.
You know
Hmm.
she. Hmm. You know she
Mm-mm.
is. That's why I told it to him, because he was trying to ask about it and he tiptoed about it. I'm not good. I'm not no earthly good. I just knocked the wall down. I said, baby, nah. And I did it not to hurt him, but to
Mm.
spare him from that.
Right.
He didn't need to waste not a single moment more with someone who just simply was not going to respect him at all. Someone who simply just was not going to, you know, give him any sort of reciprocation or energy or anything, just using that man, just using his kindness, using his money, I don't stand for that under any circumstance. So if at any time I have the opportunity to kind of put the kibosh, if I can, on stuff like that, then I definitely will do that. But let me go ahead and acknowledge these contributions. New, thank you for the cash app. Mogul Maze, thank you for the cash app. And 3M, thank you so much for your contributions. I've always said one of the Black women's strongest attributes is their femininity, which is very powerful to a man. And I definitely agree with that. So, what I'm going to do is go ahead and wrap this up. Sister Nikole, did you have anything that you wanted to say before we wrap this up?
Oh no, I really enjoyed this. I hope everyone enjoyed the content today. I appreciate it, Kendra, for you having me here. I'm reading more. I'm looking through your 10 life values and these lessons that you have. I'm like, oh, like we've gone through a lot of them today.
Yes, you
Some
did.
of them we can touch on another time. But I once again appreciate you having me.
It's my pleasure. We always, and I actually want to have this again. So,
Mhm.
we can talk in the background, but I would love to make this probably a once a month type of thing where the ladies get together, probably you and I for the first couple of times, but hopefully the other ladies will, you know, share with us their views and their voice as well, as time goes on. So I would love to definitely do this again because I think that this is a really needed conversation, one that's not being had in this sector of YouTube at all. You know,
Right.
um, so definitely thank you so much for giving me your time and giving us your time and your energy and your attention today. I definitely greatly appreciate that. And I want to thank
Mhm.
everyone who came in, who hit the like button, who contributed today. Please, if you have not subscribed to Nikole Ali's channel, please go ahead and do that. Nikole, go ahead and drop your link to your channel. I know most of you guys know who she is, but please go and support the sister um, in this space because she has a lot of needed content. And both of our content here is unique in this space and needs to be supported as much as possible. So you can go ahead and put your link in the chat, Nicole.
I wasn't even thinking about it, but yeah, definitely. I just put it in there. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
All right, no problem. So thank everyone for coming in. Um, Before we go, I want you guys, you know the deal. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Subscribe also to Miss Nicole's channel as well. And also, please go ahead and support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel with A Game. A Game is a natural supplement for men, and I'm asking the ladies to go ahead into the description box and please support your red pill men that are in your life. Support the men in your life, period. Go ahead and click that link at agameherbal.com. You can get a 10% discount by using the code Kendra10. And this has been yet another Crimson Cure production. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.